If you're a business that wants to use your marketing dollars more effectively and efficiently, this presentation is for you. Now we're gonna unpack a lot in the presentation, but you're gonna get the most value if you do watch it until the end, so make sure you do. And feel free to take us up on our offer of a free wastage audit to see where your marketing spend is probably going to waste. We're gonna go through everything that there is around wastage and making sure that you're not wasting your budget. Before we get into much, I wanna introduce myself. I'm Lana Hill, a director at WHD, where we handle digital. I often tell people, we aren't your first agency, but we are your last agency. We can be your first agency, but you just value us more after you've worked with someone else and realize how good you have it with us. And part of that reason is because we really care about your ad spend dollars. We want to make sure that when you're spending money in advertising, it's getting used as wisely as possible. So when you're scaling, there's minimal wastage. And you know what? Even if you're not using us, I'm going to give you some tips today that can help you make sure that you're not like many businesses in Australia wasting 50% of your ad spend. Every business that is currently doing digital marketing, I can pretty much say there's some wasted spend. And if you have not seen this presentation or you're not working with us, then there is a very good chance that there is a lot of wastage spend. But to understand how we can actually make sure we're not wasting ad spend, we need to understand the problems that are causing ad spend wastage to begin with. So first stats, then we'll go to an understanding of the problems, and finally, we're gonna finish with some actionable solutions to getting the best ROI for your business. Now, this isn't just a small problem. This is actually a massive money pit that we're talking about. Australian businesses are throwing away billions on ineffective online marketing. In 2023, a record 6.1+ billion in digital ad spend was simply wasted. That's a staggering 43% of what was actually invested nationally. So if you think about it, for every $10 that you're spending in ad spend, there's $4 that just vanishes. You might as well have a boat and go put it in the middle of the desert, right? Like, we are talking about a lot of wastage, and that's just here in Australia. Now, the stats that we're gonna be looking at are 2023 and 2022. I reckon it has gone significantly up, and that's why there's no more accurate stats out there. I think if it came out how much wastage there is today, a lot of people would stop digital marketing. But you can avoid it, and again, this presentation is all about that. So we do know that from 2022 to 2023, there was a 17% increase in wasted spend. Agencies not necessarily doing the right thing, people not knowing how the platforms work, and probably very popularly, people not changing as the platforms change, and they are constantly evolving. So if you're not constantly training or keeping up with the latest strategies, then you're falling behind and wasting spend. Google and Meta are where these stats come from. And one of the things that really shocked me and why I wanted to focus on this side is the fact that almost 50% of ad spend is being wasted on Google. Google Ads is where people are literally looking for your services or products. So it's got a very high intent of conversion. How is 50% being wasted? Like with Meta, I kind of get it. You can boost a post, waste some spend. You could just have really bad creative. You could forget to have a call to action. There's so many ways to just accidentally waste spend on Meta. But Google, seriously. And I'm gonna tell you what I see a lot of this wastage is coming from. And it unfortunately is agencies not doing the right thing for your brand, as well as a lot of people just trusting blindly that Google's gonna do the right thing by them. I've seen one account that didn't have this issue over the 10 years I've been in this business. Their results look good, but it is a completely big waste of ad spend for you. And we are gonna get to that today, so make sure you stay tuned. Now, as I've said a few times, this is avoidable. So don't freak out. You don't need to stop digital advertising. It is a great way to engage with your audience, to get sales, to get conversions. You just really need to make sure that you're looking at your strategy and avoiding wastage. So let's dive into some kind of broader topics of where is this money pit coming from? What's happening? One of the big ones is not having a plan. 40% of small businesses don't have a marketing plan before they start marketing. marketing? Wastage. Make sure you understand what it is that you're trying to achieve, how you're going to achieve it, and how long you can take to get there. Understand what platform you need to be on. If you don't have the right platform, you're basically in quicksand and you're going the wrong direction. If you don't have the right creative, you don't have the right story, you don't have the right audience to target, again, quicksand. You should have never started spending to begin with. Tracking is another big one. If you don't have the right tracking set up, it is like driving blindfolded through digital marketing. You're not going to get good data for yourself. You're not going to be able to make better decisions. And you're not even telling the platform itself what you want to achieve because you don't have the right tracking set up and it doesn't know who is engaging with what in order to help optimize your campaigns to get you the results that you want. So tracking is a very big one. And campaign execution. So mismanaged budgets, that is one that I see all the time, simply from people. They get started, they give it a month or two, and then they quit, when really it was needed 3 to 6 months to get to the desired outcome, to get to the desired goal. So they've just wasted 3 months of ad spend and maybe management fees because they didn't give it long enough. So understand, what does the execution look like, and then have a good partnership that's going to help you get that execution right to begin with. And targeting troubles. Have you set up your targeting properly? Do you know who you're targeting? And do you know what platform they're on? Only 30% of consumers are satisfied with personalization from Australian brands. I'm going to use the word creepy a few times in this presentation, and when I talk about creepy, I'm not talking about the fact that digital marketing does stalk people a little bit. It does. The reason that it's creepy though is because people are stalking people incorrectly. Maybe it's bad creative, maybe the person's already bought or purchased from them and yet they're seeing a constant flood of their ads because they're spending too much on the remarketing budget, or maybe they've got their targeting incorrect, in which case it doesn't feel personalized for them. If your creative isn't personalized for the person you're trying to target, they're not only not going to engage, but it is going to put a bad taste in their mouth. If you're too salesy, it's another thing that the platforms are going against because they want to entertain people. People want to be educated. They want to be entertained. They want content that's going to make them feel good. And if you can't create that for the consumer, then you're going to either be creeping them out or turning them off, and they're not going to want to engage with your brand, in which case you're just wasting spend. Spending less in digital marketing isn't necessarily the answer. It's all about spending smarter. And that's what I want to give you some quick tips on. And look, if you're running out of time, you can just go straight to the wastage audit at any time, and that will absolutely help provide you with information to help you spend more wisely. So the first one, know what your SMART goal is. And when I talk about your SMART goal, one of the most key elements in that is realistic. I speak to so many businesses who come in and go, okay, I want to give this a month or two and see how it goes. That's not how digital marketing works. Not only do you need to understand what budget you actually need to even play the game, because you can't just put $500 on something and expect outcomes. It's not how digital marketing works, unfortunately. It'd be great if it was. So you need to understand, what is the ad spend investment that I need to put in to even compete in this digital marketing platform? So that's one. But then being realistic about how long you need to be able to invest before you're going to see profitable outcomes. And I guarantee you, it is probably not a month. And it's probably not 2 months. It's probably 3+ months before you're going to see those profitable outcomes and really understand how the campaign can impact your business. Prioritize strategy over tactics. I see it all the time where people are like, I want to be on the new shiny platform because everyone's saying they're on it, but that's not the right platform to engage. Another thing I see is like B2B brands saying, oh, I want to be on LinkedIn because I know it's a professional platform and I'm targeting professionals. But unfortunately, like LinkedIn's not a very high converting platform. It's quite expensive. And yeah, people are on it, but is it the right place to engage with your brand, or is it just a place to be seen? So you need to make sure that you understand which platform is going to get you the desired outcome. Because if it's leads and it's affordable leads, it probably ain't LinkedIn. So understand who your target market is, where they're hanging out, and how they use the platform. Then invest in the platform and create a strategy around that. You want to focus on meaningful data. A lot of people come to me and say, hey, I would really just like, some brand awareness. We're going to do some social media marketing. Those people don't stick around with me very long unless I can dive into what they really want. And it's usually leads. Anytime someone comes to me and says they want brand awareness, I'm like, You probably don't. Do you want leads? Do you want sales? Like, what's the overall goal? And I try to get them there, because if I don't get them there and I can't really dive into exactly what metric's gonna keep them sticky, they're probably not gonna be sticky and stay with me in the long run. And I don't want that. I like having customers that are with me for years. I like going to their Christmas party each year. It's fun, keeps me busy in December. You need to be very clear around what data do we need to satisfy your goal. So is it leads that you're actually trying to satisfy more than just reputation, eyeballs to your socials, follower increase? What is it that you really want? But then also understand the data that's gonna help you measure that. So if you're doing a Google campaign and you're only looking at how many clicks did I get, that's not meaningful data if what you really want is conversions. Clicks is a piece of it, and we need to understand how clicks is part of the equation, but the meaningful data for you is how many phone calls am I getting? How many form inquiries or how many sales am I getting? That's what's meaningful to your SMART goals, and you need to make sure that you're getting reports that actually revolve around those, and that the reports feel accurate, because if they don't feel accurate, that means your tracking's not set up properly. Undertake independent assessments. Make sure you are not just settling. If you have an in-house team, fantastic, but have every 6 months a review with an external party. Bring in someone to support them and be a second pair of eyes. If you're working with another agency, ask them to have other people kind of look across the account, because that should be happening. Fresh eyes on an account is always a good thing. It doesn't have to be every month, but every few months, get a bit of an assessment and see what could potentially be overlooked as a result of the same person looking at it too frequently. And hone in on your data sets. Understand what data you have going into marketing. If you have good data going into marketing, it can probably speed up the results that you're getting. If you're already working with one platform, how could you leverage that data to get better results on another platform faster? So understand what data you do have. Make sure you're collecting it correctly. That will help reduce wastage, especially in the early days. If you have good data that you've been collecting, then it helps reduce wastage really early on in your campaigns. And finally, be wary of ad reps. Ad reps are your Google or your Meta ad reps who call you. They make you feel really special because you're spending so much money on Google and Meta. But guess who's paying their salary? Your ad spend. So they're gonna try to get you to spend more in ad spend. It's not always aligned with your SMART goals. I'm sure there's some great ones out there who give great advice, but a lot of times they're just trying to give advice to help you spend more on the platform, and it's not necessarily looking at the objective that you're trying to achieve. And they do work for Google and Meta, who are the people who want you to spend more. They're a business too. They want more money in. So be very wary of the advice. Feel free to take those calls. Feel free to build a relationship with them, but make sure you're getting a second opinion before you blindly dive in and implement everything they say to. Now let's get into a little bit more of the detail. Let's get specific around some things that you can do to make sure that you are not wasting ad spend. Refine your audience targeting. This may mean actually going a bit broader with the way that the algorithms work today. If you've had the same target market for a while, you've had the same audiences set up, it might be time to put a small bit of ad spend into a broader audience, because the algorithm likes to go find the right people to engage with your brand, and it likes that freedom to do that. And with the changes with AI, the changes with the algorithm, especially on social platforms, they are great at finding the right people if you feed it with good relevant content for those people. It is in their best interest to get you good outcomes because you'll spend more. And the algorithm's designed to do this, but you do need to know how to work with the algorithm. Check your campaign settings and strategy. Make sure you're not wasting spend on brand. Brand is a big one. If your Google Ads account is set up and you have a big amount of your spend on your own name, great way to waste ad spend, right? If you rank number 1 anyway for your name organically, why would you spend 80%, 50%, or even 40% on brand in your Google Ads campaign? You shouldn't. But unfortunately, I see this as a strategy agencies use all the time to help get the cost per click down and to get you results. You're getting heaps of leads. Look at all the phone calls you got. Look at all the form inquiries you got. But those are people that were going to engage with you anyway. So they were looking for you. They're not new to your funnel. They're not a new customer, most likely. It's someone who is planning to engage with you. They came to Google. They looked at your name. There's no reason to spend heavy in brand. Same thing with your socials. If you are wanting new customers, are you putting in your current customers as someone you don't want to be targeting? There are ways to do this within the platforms. And don't forget, you want to have your tracking set up correctly. I've said it a few times and I'm not going to stop. I'm probably going to say it again. Boost ad relevance through A/B testing. Your creative is everything on social platforms today, and you need to test a lot of creative. You need diversification in your creative always, and you want to make sure that you're adapting based on that A/B testing. But more importantly than anything, you want to invest in good creative. If you are not educating or entertaining your target market, then there is a good chance that you're spending more in ad spend than the person who is. Because these platforms, they want to keep people on their platform. They want to keep them watching content. And if your creative is outdated, it's been overly used, or maybe it just sucks, then they are going to make you spend more to reach 1,000 people than the person who has engaging creative. Because you know what? That person keeps people on their platform. So as a result of that, they're having lower spend. The person with higher spend is the person who doesn't have good creative and really needs to refresh their ads, most likely. So invest in creative, understand your target market, what they're engaging with, and A/B test always. And have a strong call to action. If you don't have a strong offer or you don't have a strong call to action, then you're probably getting in front of the right people, educating them, entertaining them, maybe you've invested in great content. But if your call to action fails, then you're gonna waste spend because people don't know what to do with your content, or they're not incentivized to engage with it. They're like, okay, what did they want me to do? Or that's not a good enough offer for me to take them up on that. I actually just really wanted 10% off. You need to make sure you understand what your target audience needs to engage. A/B test this as well to get to the best outcome, and test new offers on a regular basis. Add in new offers on a regular basis. But make sure you have diversification in your offers and offers that are gonna incentivize to convert in order to reduce your wastage. This is a big one. Did you know that 1/3 of small businesses end up in a dispute with their digital marketing provider? Not only did you have wastage in finding this digital marketing provider and investing in them, but there was wastage in ad spend along the way. You really need to vet your digital marketing provider or the person that you're hiring in-house before you dive into a relationship with them if you want to reduce wastage of spend and wastage of agency fees as well. Unfortunately, we are an industry that's a bit shady. There is just a lot of people doing the wrong thing. I see so many people who come to us burn out from other agencies, coming with the question of like, why are you guys going to be different? And you know what? I can tell you all the reasons that we're going to be different, but until they come and work with us, they're not really going to understand and they're not going to feel that impact. But at the end of the day, this is something to be really wary of. So I'm going to give you some tips on how to find them. And this doesn't just apply to agencies. This is also looking at an in-house team. And one of the big ones is if you are actually going to be hiring in-house, understand your strategy prior to investing in-house. Many businesses go, I'm gonna get a marketing manager, they're gonna figure out our strategy, and then they're gonna execute it. But the person who's a generalist marketer that's kind of working out the overall strategy might not be the person who knows how to run a Google Ads campaign and execute that Google Ads campaign. So as a result of that, you've got your invested marketer that you're now investing in them to go train how to do Google AdWords and just test it out on your account. Talk about wastage. So invest in getting your marketing plan done first, understand what platforms you're gonna be playing with, and then hire an in-house team based on those platforms or based on those skills. Same thing with an agency. Make sure they're coming to you with a strategy that has in-depth research and gives you some understanding of how they got to those numbers, how they got to these big promises, and how long it's gonna take to achieve them. And then invest based on their expertise. Do they have case studies for those particular services, or is it something that they're just adding on because you've asked for it? Make sure you understand what your desired outcome is before you go into a relationship, and hopefully before you even go to an agency. Seek transparency. Make sure there's someone who's going to show you the report and show you details in the report so that they can't get away with spending 80% of your budget in brand, but also someone who's got ongoing training. Unfortunately, Andromeda was a big drop to Meta's algorithm, and it happened this year, and I don't know any agencies really talking about it outside of us, because agencies get left behind because they're not doing ongoing training. They've set up these systems and procedures that just tick along, and they're like, oh, anyone can come in and implement this, but it's a system that was set up 5 years ago when the whole landscape of digital marketing has changed since then. So you want an agency that's adapting, they're changing, they're constantly training. Same thing for in-house. Make sure it's someone who's listening to podcasts and wants to keep up with all the changes that evolve around digital marketing, because nothing stays the same. Within the year, honestly, it changes every few months for us, and you need someone who's excited about that change, not scared of it. Finally, don't spend too much in management. Don't spend too much in wages. Understand what that balance should look like in order for you to get ROI, and continue to measure the outcome with those fees involved. So don't just look at ROI of, I spent this much in ad spend and here's my return. ROI is more than that. It's, I've invested this much in marketing as a whole and I'm getting this return. And there are ways to measure that. Set up proper tracking. I've said this like 3 or 4 times now. I'm going to drum it into you. Tracking ensures that you're getting the information you need to make smarter decisions. Your agency or your team is getting the information they need to make better decisions. But additionally, it's what you're telling the algorithm. And based on what you're telling the algorithm can help work for you. But you really need to feed the machine with good information. And part of that is good tracking. You also want to have the right campaign objective. If you tell a platform that you want clicks, they're going to go out and find you people who just click. If you tell them you want conversions, they're going to find the target market that actually converts and fills out form inquiries. Understand what your campaign objective that you want to achieve is and tell the platform, because the person who clicks through to your website is different to the person who converts. And the platform knows that, but they can only help find the right people when you've set it up and you've told it what you want to achieve. Embrace data-driven decision-making. Data-driven decision-making can really only happen when you have your tracking set up. I told you I'd mention it again, but it is honestly so key. When you've got your tracking set up, you're actually telling the platform what you want to achieve, and then you're tracking the information so you can make better informed decisions based on data. Don't stop A/B testing. There's no reason to stop, because the platforms are changing, your audience is changing, there are new people coming into the funnel. So A/B testing's key. But A/B testing allows for a lot of diversification and understanding of what data does work, and then you can make decisions based on data. And that's what's so great about digital marketing, is if you're making decisions based on data, you're making smarter decisions and reducing wasted spend. Addressing attribution complexity. What is attribution? Attribution is the way people are engaging with your brand. Someone may discover you on a platform like TikTok. Potentially they saw a really engaging, entertaining TikTok video, but it had no call to action, and it was just something that they came across. They then were like, oh, I remember this solution, and they hit up Google and end up on a YouTube video. And they're like, oh, that was a bit fun. I learned a little bit more about it. Great. They Google it again, then fall into your remarketing funnel, which you now have a great Instagram ad that pops up in their feed a few weeks later, and they're like, oh, that's really good, but I'm not in a place to convert right now. So potentially screenshot it, favorite that screenshot, or if they're like me, they email it to themselves and they're like, I'll do that later. And then they go back to Google and they convert. Now, one way to waste ad spend is to think a little bit too linear and go, okay, well, Google was where I got that conversion, when really there was multiple channels that contributed. Now, understanding attribution is one thing, but it's really easy to waste a lot of spend because you don't know which of these platforms are doing what for you. The best way to do this is through investing in attribution pathways and tracking that, but it is a big investment and often not something small businesses can do. So what we do to help with this is something called the marketing efficiency ratio, also known as MER. You can visit our YouTube or our socials to find out a little bit more about this. It is time to take control. It is time for you to do some homework. Go check your tracking, conduct some internal audits. You know, are we spending too much in brand? Do we have everything set up for new acquisition flows? Demand transparency and accountability from those who you are working with. Shift from a spending mindset to strategically thinking mindset. You should be investing strategically, not just spending and hoping for the best. You should be measuring all your ROI, and embrace continuous learning learning and adapt to new things. Meta, Google, TikTok, all these platforms, LinkedIn, they're constantly changing. Every digital marketing platform is evolving, and AI is impacting them as well. So make sure that you're working with a marketing team that is training ongoing. They're looking at the latest that's been released from each platform, and they are continually testing new ways of marketing. Because I can tell you what works today probably won't work in a few months' time, and what was working last year, it might still be working for you, but it could be working better for you with a little bit of testing. If you are ready to make sure that you are investing as wisely as possible on these platforms, take us up on our complimentary wastage audit. Our wastage audit goes through your platforms. Should you be on these platforms? How are they working for your business? And is there any wastage in the campaigns and how they're structured and set up? Are there any audiences that shouldn't be there? Are there any audiences that should be there? We're going to give this report to you with no strings attached. WHD really wants to see marketers spend more wisely in ad spend. So this is our gift to you to help you get the most from your ad spend. Click the link to access our digital marketing wastage audit, and I look forward to speaking with you once we're done.